Today we are on the second podcast talking about practicing. Yesterday we talked about what to practice. Today the discussion is about when to practice. And this is the Learn Piano in Your Car podcast. Now, what I mean by when to practice covers quite a large area, really. So, consistency is key, I believe. And 15 minutes, 10 minutes, even 5 minutes is enough. But what you practice in those 5 minutes is important. That was yesterday's topic. So, back to consistency. So, you need to be consistent. If you think about practicing once a week, so if you practice once a week, you get 52 practices in a year. But if you practice once a day, even for 5 minutes, you get 365. And you're definitely going to improve more quickly with 365 concentrated practices that are high quality practices. So you're taking into account the what you're going to practice, we talked on yesterday, and you're using that, you're learning by stealth is what I call that. In the Perfect Piano Academy, my students are called the fast trackers. That is their identity. But they're fast trackers because of the way they practice and what they practice, and giving time to the right things and getting feedback. Consistency builds your foundation. Discipline is required to be consistent. Nothing we do in life can be done to a high level without discipline and consistency. I once saw on stage somebody was saying, we all want progress, we want development, we want to improve, we want to master piano, at least we want to improve at piano, we want to become an intermediate, maybe, pianist. But progress doesn't come without change. And we don't like change, do we? With the ideas and concepts I'm bringing to the table here, it's about little changes that you can make that have huge transformational benefit. So you need to be disciplined and committed. There's no point in starting piano if you're not committed. You need to clear a little bit of space in your diary. Now, 15 minutes, I'm sure it was 15 minutes, I calculated was 1% of the time we have in a day. 15-minute practice every day and you'll soon be flying. 15 minutes every day, 365 days, you could be actually really good in 12 months. Consistency. And habit. You need to make a habit, first of all, because, well, first of all, let's think, how do you make a habit? So the easiest way to make a habit is to build a habit on a habit. I'm talking from experience with this. I've used this example a lot. I wanted to drink more water, and personally, I don't like these beakers that we buy. I'm a bit of an environmentalist, and I think it's a bit of a fad to buy a beaker of water like that. What happens when you do that, often I've seen, is you fill it up in the morning, and by the time it gets to night time, it's still full. That, filling a beaker up that says drink me down the side, is not going to make me drink it. What's going to make me drink that is building a habit. So I do drink a lot of tea and coffee, especially when I'm working. So I figured while I wait for the kettle to boil, I will drink a glass of water. So if I drink 10 cups of tea and coffee in a day, 10 cups of water, that's the equivalent of one of these big beakers, isn't it? But what's the difference? The difference is the habit. It's not how you dress the habit up. It's not the container. It's not that saying you can take a horse to water but you can't make it drink. So I can put that big beaker on my desk all day if I want, but it's not going to make me drink it. I need to create a habit. And you need to create a habit because it's the habit that will keep you going when you don't want to practice, when you don't have the motivation to practice, when you can't be bothered. If it's been embedded as a habit, then you just do it and you know how good you're going to feel when you've done it. And 15 minutes, I think, is 1% of your day. So 1% is nothing. If we can't fit 15 minutes in, we can waste an hour scrolling on a phone. It's a mind switch. You have to switch to make it something you do want to do it, but you have to switch your mind to make sure you do it. And that's the difference. Now, sometimes we think people are just naturally talented, and some people do have natural talent. But here's the thing, with a regular practice habit, practicing the right things can outpace simply talent. If you have talent but you don't practice, and you don't practice the right things, you'll get overtaken by somebody who practices consistently and practices the right things. So quality by stealth, and you know that you're practicing the right things because we covered this yesterday. So go back and watch that other video. There are 6 or 7 key things that you need to have in your practice, and you also need daily targets and monthly targets, and daily routines and monthly routines. So you don't practice exactly the same thing every day, but you do need to practice every day, or at least 5 days a week, or 6 days. Give yourself a day off. And you can fit your practice in as a parent when the kids have gone to bed, or in the morning, or when they're at school, or there's so many reasons why we convince ourselves we can't do things. We're busy, we don't have time, we don't have money, we don't have room for a piano, whatever. Those are all just excuses. If you want to do it, you'll do it. And yeah, learning by stealth is the thing. You need feedback. You actually need a guide to do this right. And yeah, obviously I have got my hybrid program, which is self-teach. You self-teach yourself. It's the best bits about self-teaching, which would be things like you work at your own pace. You can stop and start. You can go back and repeat. You can put it down for 6 months and pick it up again. That's all the good things about self-teaching. You can teach yourself at midnight. And that's all the fabulous bits of self-teaching. Also in my portal, you've got access to a community. So you're not on your own. You're never on your own. You're working alongside other students doing the same thing. And there's something about all the positivity. We celebrate each other's wins. So you get all of that as the self-teaching part of it in the portal. But the other bit you get is 24/7 access to me or another teacher. And we promise to give you feedback on your videos within 12 hours. So you can't go off track. If you're self-teaching, you could just get really good at doing something badly, to be quite honest. You could create a bad habit that you can't fix ever, or you could miss a whole chunk of, like, you could miss theory completely, or you could do scales but forget about arpeggios just because you don't know what you don't know. So in my portal, you have, we'll keep you on track. So it's called the fast track because I picture it in my mind like it's a track, so it's a running track, and you're walking on that track, but it's got the guardrails up, and the guardrails are me keeping you on track. So you start off walking, and then you start running, and you're sprinting, and you can't go off the track because me and the other teachers will keep you on the track. So anyways, that was all about practicing when to practice. And yesterday was what to practice, and tomorrow is how we practice. So I'm Carol Brotherston. Send me your questions to info@themusicroom.org.uk. Perfect Piano Academy is www.perfectpiano.org.uk. And I think that's enough for today. Practice by stealth. Get your head in the game.